Hello everyone, and welcome to the Prospero Pod, the podcast that focuses on the people of Prospero Health. I'm Nathan, your host, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. Her name is Sierra, and she has joined us to talk about her time at Prospero Health and what her life has been like with the company. Sierra, it's good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So before we get into the real content of this podcast, I want to know how long have you been with the company, and really just tell the listeners what your role is with the company.
Right. So I'm a registered nurse. I've been with Prospero pretty much since the inception. I was one of the original nurses that was brought in to talk about how to make an expansion and to go national. So I've been doing palliative care in some iteration or another for about 5 years, especially home-based. And prior to that, I was a geriatrics nurse. So.
Okay, thank you for that information. So I want to give the listeners just a little bit more background on you. So could you tell me, like, what's your entry into healthcare? Like, did you go to school for it? Have you had previous roles in healthcare, or is this your first role?
So I'm actually a second career nurse. I worked in insurance, actually construction insurance, doing workers' comp and general liability. I grew up in hospitals, though, because my older brother has a chronic condition called hydrocephalus. So my whole life, I hung out with nurses behind a nurse's station. So it was kind of pretty organic to find my way here. I just needed to get the courage. And in 2010, I graduated from nursing school and took my boards and passed as an RN, which has been awesome. My first, did a bunch of different jobs, like working in med surg, getting the skills that I needed, working with the elderly population. And then I was a manager in a long-term care for a long time before I came here to home-based.
Okay, so how do you think that those roles have propelled you into your position at Prospero Health?
I think it's really provided a base of knowledge, right? So the experience that I have and the kind of point of view I have regarding how to take care of people with serious illness was really molded by all of those experiences. And I found myself really drawn to working with patients who are considered geriatric, right? We say 65 and above, but it's really like 75, 85, 95, 105 are the people who need our care. So those experiences kind of made me see what we needed to do better for patients as they age. Oftentimes, elderly patients feel like they're being pushed aside because, is it worth saving? Is it worth doing something? And the truth is, yes, like they're valued. We learn from them every day. So all of that experience is kind of, once I got into home-based palliative care and really realized what that entailed for serious illness has been an amazing thing. And it's kind of what I hope that I get if I get to see 85,
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So you kind of answered my next question of why you've decided to stay with Prospero Health and stay in this continuation of, just helping the general population. But are there any stories in particular that stand out to you that's like wow, this is why I do this?
Oh, I have a million of them. There's to be able to be fortunate enough to be allowed into somebody else's life in a time where things are really uncertain is a privilege. And, I get to see so many patients in their homes where they're comfortable, where they can actually talk to me pretty candidly, as opposed to in their doctor's office where they think like they have to tell their doctor the right answers and they can't answer the questions on how they really feel because they're afraid the doctor's going to look at them and say, oh, you need this med, or you need this, or the way you're feeling isn't right. And, what we get to do in this profession is make people understand that they get to choose. As a nurse, I can educate you, I can give you all of your options, but I don't choose for you. And as we're moving towards end of life or just managing serious illness, the decisions should still be yours. And it shouldn't be while you're in a crisis, your son, daughter, caretaker, whomever have to answer those for you. You should be able to say, I want this. I want to wear this. I want this song played. I want you to know that you follow these wishes for me. And that's important because I've seen patients struggle because, my daughter doesn't understand that I'm tired. Or I just wish my doctor would listen to me. I know I'm a fighter, but it's okay to say I'm done. And to be able to do that and be able to be that kind of like that bridge with other healthcare clinicians, with family members, with patients themselves, to give them the confidence to say, I know that this is right for me, is huge. And like I said, it's one of those situations that it's all I can ask for. And, my dad is 70 and he's sick also. And so I want him to feel that way as well. It's empowering people to live their best lives and make their choices and know that it's important.
Wow, I think that's really powerful. So I think a lot of people that, are looking at a career in this particular sector would ask themselves, like, can I live up to that standard that, you're setting? So could you tell the listeners a little bit more about what your day-to-day looks like?
Right. So you definitely can. I think one of the things that Prospero looks for is people who live our values. So compassionate, empathetic people who want to help, right? Who have high accountability, high integrity. And, we get to do that every day and make relationships with our coworkers, our teams is what we call them. And they're the patients that we serve, or the people that we serve, and their caregivers. And, to work for Prospero is to feel validated as a clinician. And we always talk about how healthcare is broken, and we're actively trying to fix it. And we know that it can't be fixed overnight. So it's great to kind of go into this new position and new venture saying we're really going to try to make a change. And that the hopes are, as I age and my family age, that this is just the standard of care, that there's no question about it.
Well, that's great. I think it's obvious how much you care about this role and really just the job in general. But to delve a little deeper into that, is there anything in particular that you find extremely rewarding about your role?
So much of it, honestly. I know that sounds silly, but when patients or people are sometimes in the mix of their disease, right? So all these things are going bad, or they feel negative, like all those negative thoughts and feelings keep happening. You get to sit silently in their discomfort with them and really be a support. And that's kind of what healthcare is lacking, right? People are always telling you what to do, or telling you what you should do, and telling you the outcomes, which may not be what you want to hear. We get to sit with them. And oftentimes I will make hospice referrals for patients who are very sick and the family or the patient have been super defiant. And now they're in hospice and they're comfortable and they're getting exactly what they asked for. And the most gratifying thing for me is being told, like, how did you know? Or thank you so much for being honest with me. Actually, recently I was cleaning my office and I found a note from a patient's daughter that I took care of the mother and the father, both through their disease processes, both that were ended up being put on hospice and really taken care of very well. And the daughter said to me, "You are indefinitely part of our family. Thank you so much for helping us through the hardest 2 years of our life. We are forever grateful and indebted to you." And that's when it hit me. Like, I was like, oh, wow. I'm not just somebody who comes in and does my job. I'm helping people. I'm helping people feel better about something that's really natural in life, when most of us don't talk about it. And I let them know that it's okay to be upset and angry and mad at your body, because when you get to close your eyes for the last time and take your last breath, I want you to be comfortable and happy. And that's what's really rewarding. It's awesome.
Well, I hate to sound repetitive, but that's just incredible. Like, everything you're saying, I really appreciate it. So obviously our mission here is to empower people to live their best lives now, which, I mean, you've said, you've exemplified, but is there anything in particular that means to you?
I feel like we often, the collective we society, don't realize how important death is, right? An end of life should be celebrated the same way that the birth of a life is. And for me to be able to honor, right, the wisdom and the experience that comes with age and listen to people's stories, right? We're changing stories, not only for the person that we're taking care of, but the people around them. And that's huge for me. So to be able to think outside of the box and solve a problem or work towards solving a problem. Sometimes it's simple as nobody else has listened to me. You're the first person who did. And you do one little trick, like somehow you tell them to pick up a pillbox that has an alarm. And then when the alarm goes off, it opens and they can take their meds now because their hands don't work quite like they used to and they can't open those bottles. And then you prevent hospitalizations, and then their disease is kind of stable, things like that. And I mean, that's what really resonates with me, just to be able to say you should be celebrated, right? Whatever happened in your life, whatever misgivings, shortcomings, amazing things that you've done, you deserve to have the care of somebody around you. And many of our elderly don't, right? They've outlived their family, their friends, and to be able to be that person that they look forward to seeing, that they know is going to be honest with them, it's just an amazing piece of my life, and an amazing reward to have.
So when we shift focus to, because you can always talk about the patients that you see and the people that you are actually helping, but if your company doesn't back you up, then at the end of the day, you struggle to find fulfillment in your job. So let's shift our focus just a little bit for the last couple of minutes to Prospero Health as a company. I think a lot of people listening would be curious to know, is there a decent amount of transparency within Prospero Health, whether it be with the leadership, expectations of you, or just communication between team members in general?
I have to say that out of all of the places that I've worked before, both in my previous life and here, when you say something, people hear it. Even just right now, training future clinicians and talking to them about, like, we heard how this didn't work for you, and these are the changes that we made. Nothing falls on deaf ears. And, to be able to have our COO call me and say, hey, what do you think about this? Because I heard you were concerned. It's, feeling validated as an employee is really important. And oftentimes I've heard multiple people say, like, we're going to be best in class for our people, like our patients and our employees. And that's huge, because you can't do the good work without having good people there. And, from an employment standpoint, feeling validated from the work you do is great, but also knowing that you have people, including senior leadership, that support you and can also be honest and humble, or say, we didn't think of that, thanks. Or this is great feedback, let's incorporate it so that we can make your lives better and make it easier for the patients you serve or people you serve. I mean, it's huge. So I have to say that's what I've seen with working with everybody, that they'll come right out and say, like, hey, I didn't understand your email, or, hey, this is not going to work in a different state that we're going into. What are your thoughts? And they actually care what you have to say.
So you really do feel like no matter what the employee, what their role is, they do feel heard, rather it be, from the top management to people that are going to be in the field or in the support center. So you really feel like they have a voice?
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things about Prospero is that we have the collective why, right? So we always talk about the why we do this job. And it's not just the clinicians in the field, because obviously they're frontline. They get that a lot. They get the hard part. So their why has to be strong. But every person is asked, why are they doing this type of work? Whether that's you're sitting in our care support center, or you're working spreadsheets, or you're in human resources, everybody has their why. And that's kind of honored in a way, that you really feel supported every step of the way. And, it doesn't matter what credentials or initials you have after your name. When we sit at a table together, we're all people, and we're all people who care and want to help. And you can really feel that. You can feel that warmth and that love from the people around you. So it's really an amazing thing, and it looks like we're going to be able to do amazing things too.
Well, that's great to hear. So the last question I've got for you today, I really just want to round it out for all the people listening who are considering a career with Prospero Health. A lot of people are going to ask themselves, what qualifies me to work for this company? So who do you think this job is right for, and what qualities should they possess?
So for every position that we have, being a caring human, right, who cares about the people around them, who wants to see healthcare be better for everybody, and doesn't mind putting the work in. I think that collectively our brain trust is what helps us get through the harder times, and overall helping people and really making a fundamental shift in healthcare takes time. So I think that if you're looking for a place where you can really practice your skills, whether that be clinical, administrative, conversational, leadership, any of that, and know that you're really putting a lot of good into this world, and that you are like a self-starter or a go-getter, this is the place for you. Know that you'll be heard, know that you'll be validated, and that you're around people who are like-minded. So it's really rewarding, and it looks like we have an amazing future ahead of us.
Well, Sierra, thank you so much for joining us today. You've been an absolutely fantastic guest.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And to all of you listening, I hope that you found this podcast helpful today. If you would like more information about employment with our company, feel free to visit prospero-health.com or contact us at jobs@prospero-health.com. And you can also find more information about our team when you visit our Indeed, Glassdoor, or LinkedIn pages to view our available positions. So thanks again for listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, or whatever it may be. And we'll talk in the next one.